let's talk about France. Let's talk about what's happening there. So the French government are so afraid of people protesting, rioting, of the unrest, that they have now deployed 40,000 police. It went from 2,000 to 40,000. And this is after this boy was killed. His name is Nahel. And he is, he was 17 years old. He was driving a car. The police stopped him, 2 officers, because they realized, okay, this guy probably doesn't have a license. He didn't have a license, but they shot him dead. They killed him. And, I don't know about you, but I don't think not having a driver's license warrants a death sentence. And I think most people would agree. So I did a thread on Twitter. Because like I said, I've been observing the French press and public opinion for the past days. From the day this started, I've been collecting things and putting videos together and monitoring all of it. So I know I did a video yesterday, but this situation is getting out of hand now. It's really looking a lot like 2005. Okay, for those of you who know, you know. But even if you're not French or you weren't, you don't have such a good memory, I'm sure a lot of you remember cars burning and just Paris being on fire. That's what happened in 2005. Back then, and I'll go into detail about this in a second, is that the French police caused 2 teenagers, 15 and 17 years old, to die. So, you have a similar situation now where people are really, really sick of this, and they are furious. They are furious that you have another boy who is killed by the police for no reason, right? For no reason. So let's go through this. First thing, 27th of June, 8:30 in the morning, they shoot Nahel dead in Nanterre, it's in the Paris suburbs, and this is very important because we'll talk about the banlieue in a second, but it happened in Nanterre, okay? So this is close to La Défense. La Défense is the business district, with all the towers and everything. Nanterre is in western Paris, in the suburbs. So the police, they initially claimed that, and the media citing the police, they spread these lies that, someone tried to ram the cops with their vehicle, and that's why they shot him dead. Absolute complete lie. And the police, keep in mind, this was their initial testimony. Then there's a video posted online showing both the police with their guns. Like, you have to understand, one of the cops is leaning on the car. He's leaning on the car, and both of them have their firearms to this guy's head. I mean, there's not even, like half a meter between the pistols and this guy's head. Point blank range. I mean, in every sense of the term, point blank range. I mean, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but just look at that. All right. So this situation is being completely run by the police, and you can hear in the video, and I'm going to play this for you now. Just listen, okay? Just listen. I want you to listen. You heard that? The gunshot? Listen to what he says before. Balle dans la tête. I'm going to put a bullet in your head. That's what he told the boy. Balle dans la tête. A bullet in your head. And then the other guy yells, shoot, and then he fires. Okay? And then, the guy, he collapses, and the reason the vehicle is still moving is because they crashed. I mean, he's dead. He officially died, I don't know what it was, 15, 20 minutes later, right, when he was pronounced dead. But the guy, collapsed, and the car accelerated, and they crashed. And now we get to the truth. This is another video that I don't think many people have seen. From a second angle, this is the driver in front of the car filming in the left-hand mirror what's happening behind. You can see, look at the red circles, right? In red. You have one policeman with this pistol raised and the other as well. this is a 17-year-old boy. I mean, what? How much harm is he going to do? If this was like a terrorist or someone with an explosive vest, something that is so outrageous, like something from a movie. Okay, fine. You would have two guns aimed at someone. That says this is a kid who's driving without a license. What? Can someone tell me what is the reason to have two firearms pointed at his head? This is. It's not just excessive use of force. This is criminal behavior. This is criminal behavior. If you go and point a pistol at somebody's head, even a fake one, you could end up in jail, depending on the situation. But let's say a real one, because we're dealing with real live ammunition here. If you go and point a pistol at somebody's head, never mind firing it, you will go to prison. You will go to prison. Why is it okay for them to shoot a 17-year-old boy in the head and kill him? It's not okay. And people are furious. People are angry. I've put together a whole bunch of clips. It is difficult to distinguish where these things are happening because of the scale of the protest. This is why Macron and his Minister of Interior have now scrambled 40,000 police all over France because they know that what they have done is wrong. Macron comes out and says, "Oh, it's inexcusable. There's no justification for this." Very nice words. And what are you going to do about it? Oh, you need to be calm. Hey, man, maybe you should tell your police to be calm before they shoot people in the head. I don't know about that, right? Now people have gone wild. You got protests happening in Lyon, Nantes, in Marseille, in Paris, not just Nanterre, all over Paris, right? In the suburbs, in the banlieue, in the center. You have in Toulouse. Did I already say Lyon? Just all over France. All over France. It's wild. I want you to look at this. People are burning cars, which is a French tradition, of course. They're throwing fireworks at the police. Ooh, very scary. They go shoot people dead and then they're worried about fireworks. Anyway, here, look. Right, so somebody's chasing a cop with fireworks, right? Here, they stole a tractor. And it's funny because you have this video filmed from two different angles. I'm pretty sure it's the same video. You have somebody filming, well, obviously from the angle I just showed you, but also from the top, and you can see them taking down a surveillance tower. Okay, so this is a CCTV tower. Hold on, let me show you the thing. Yeah, it's so wild. This is wild. Right, and I'm assuming that this is the aftermath, because that looks like the same thing to me. Yeah, it's something out of a movie. Then somebody drove a car. This is in Nantes into a Lidl. For those of you who don't know, that's a German grocery store. It's a chain. Why would you do this to Lidl? What did Lidl ever do to you? It's wild. Insane. Look, here's more. This is in Nanterre. It's back in Paris. Okay, so this is where the shooting happened, the same district or suburb. I've got more for you. This is in also in Nanterre. Oh, by the way, you also have people setting fire to stuff in Brussels and Belgium next door. You can see the riot police, which are called les casseurs or the CRS. I'll get to them in a second, but let me just play the video. It's wild, absolutely wild. This is in Marseille. In Marseille, you had a huge march of the giant protest, people marching to the port. Hold on here. So this is south of France on the Mediterranean coast, okay? Here, this is back in Nanterre. I know I'm jumping between them because that's what's happening. It's wild.
Oh, c'est n'importe quoi. Ah là là.
Yeah, you can see the CRS coming. Here's another one. This is a skyline, the skyline of Marseille on fire. It speaks for itself. It speaks for itself, really. Here's this looks like something out of Harry Potter. I want you to look at these fireworks. It's completely wild. It's completely wild. This is in Nanterre. You get the idea. You get the idea. And meanwhile, this is happening in Lyon. So while the country is burning, Emmanuel Macron takes the time to attend the Elton John concert. Right? Because that's very important. Very, he's clearly he's really taking these priorities seriously. And then he posts on Twitter, or some staffer posts, he says violence against police precincts, schools, and town halls and the country are unjustifiable, inexcusable. Thank you to the police. Thank you to the firemen that are for their work. And he says that justice has to guide France's next hours. Again, you see, these are all just words. What's actually happening? Well, I want to tell you one thing. The policeman who shot dead the boy, right? So this one over here, who shot dead Nahel. After the video came out, not before, after the truth came out, they arrested him, they detained him, and he's been charged with voluntary manslaughter. Which, I mean, I think that's a joke. This is murder, man. Like, you have a gun raised to somebody's head, and you're thinking about killing this person, and you killed them, right? Manslaughter is putting this mildly. I want to play you this clip from his lawyer, from the family's lawyer, rather. And here's what he said, right?
L'homicide volontaire existe dans ce dossier. Il n'y a pas de légitime défense.
So he's saying there's no legitimate, this is not a case of self-defense here.
Le client souhaite que la loi soit appliquée et que le policier soit mis en examen pour homicide volontaire, poursuivi.
And then the lawyer also wants to charge the policeman with lying in his initial testimony. That's the other thing. And you see the second policeman, the second officer on the left here. He wants to charge him as an accomplice, okay? Because, I mean, after all, he also had his gun raised. Now, this is all from my thread, and there's some graffiti that somebody wrote on the wall, rather, posted, that says, sans vidéo, Nahel serait une statistique. Well, it means that without this video, Nahel, the kid that they shot dead, would just be another statistic, right? But it's because of the video that the truth came, the truth came out. And as I said here, many people are disgusted by this. The view of the general public in France is that this is outrageous. Like, many people have driven without a license. I've never done that, but many people have said that, I've driven without a license. Does that mean I should be shot dead? That's what they said. They've also said, since when do we have a death penalty in France? That was abolished. This is not a case of self-defense. You cannot whip out your pistol two pistols, right? Two officers pointed at a kid, and then take their life. There's an ambulance worker who just completely lost it, and he started cussing the police out. This is immediately afterwards, okay? I mean, it's quite loud. Hold on. He's saying, vous allez voir comment Nanterre va se réveiller. Basically saying, just wait and see how the city is going to go wild. You know, how the people, this city is going to hit the roof, or Nanterre is going to hit the roof. And he was... yeah, he is saying he's only 19. You can see, well, he was 17, right? We later found out. He's basically saying this guy looks like a child, right? He's a kid. He has the face of a kid. He does. and then pour un défaut de permis, so for not having his license. Yeah, and he said, he said that he knows Nahel, the victim. He saw him grow up and so on. Either way, you know what happened after this video? They arrested the ambulance worker. They arrested this guy for for threatening the police, quote unquote, and incitement of hatred. It's just wild. That's all I have to say. Actually, I have a lot more, but going back to my to what I have here for you. So this is the law, okay? This 2017 law that people mention, but I'm going to actually show it to you, okay? So this was passed a few years ago, and that's the name, Article L435-1, and it says here that the police or other members of service members, so in the military and so on, they can use deadly force and use their weapons only in cases of extreme necessity, right? So and it must be proportionate to the situation, okay? It says here that if there's a threat to their life, okay, or a threat to other people's lives, then they can do that. It says here, lorsqu'après deux sommations faites à haute voix, which means after two loud commands for somebody to comply, after shouting for somebody to stop or to comply, whatever the order is, if the person still doesn't stop, then you can use your weapon. I mean, what does that mean, loud commands? How loud is loud? What if somebody is deaf? What if somebody has a hearing aid? How many decibels qualifies as loud enough for you to shoot someone? This is ridiculous. It's so ambiguous, and it's done on purpose. It's not an accident, right? And then it says here that if after two commands they cannot force someone to comply, and they think that there's going to be danger to people's lives and so on. And then, of course, in 4 and 5, they also talk about whether the person is driving a vehicle. In this case, the person was driving a vehicle. But you don't necessarily have to be in a vehicle for this law to apply. It just says that if somebody refuses to comply after two commands, you can shoot them. I mean, this is you want to talk about state violence? Jesus, this is so broad. It could mean absolutely anything. If there wasn't a video in this case, people would just, go along with this theory, like, yeah, well, they told them to stop, and that's it. Once again, may I remind you that the police told him, I'm going to put a bullet in your head, and then the other one said, shoot. Does that sound like asking someone to comply? That sounds like terrorizing someone and then murdering them, killing them. Manslaughter is putting it mildly. I'm going to put a bullet in your head. If I didn't speak French, maybe I wouldn't believe it, but I heard it with my own ears and I just played it to you. And I've listened to it over and over, and that's exactly what they said. I'm going to put a bullet in your head. Does that sound like a proportionate response by a public servant, by law enforcement for a 17-year-old in a car? Does that sound proportionate to you? Aiming two pistols at somebody's head, a kid? If you think that's proportionate, you need to go get your head checked out. Yeah? People in France are not stupid, and the reason that the country's on fire and Macron and his interior minister have to go scramble and send their 40,000 CRS is because they know that they screwed up. They know that they have allowed this law to exist, to continue to exist without any any sort of commission, any sort of inquiry, any sort of examination of whether it's proportionate. How is this law being used? Can we continue to have such a law? No, it's just like, whatever. Keep in mind, this was passed during Hollande's, This was passed under Hollande when he was a president, right? And, this is not going to end well, I can tell you that. It's not going to end well. This is from the town hall of Clichy. It's on fire. Right? Here, I want to show you a video. Actually, there are two videos I want to show you. I've already shown you 20, but there are two very... if you thought it was like... If you thought this was bad enough, there's one video. I'm not going to play it because I don't think I can. It's very upsetting. It's about 5 French police, riot police, gathered around and just kicking somebody. And from the screams, somebody said they're 14 or something. So, does it really matter what age they are? It's just like brutally beating the shit out of someone. Extremely brutal. And here, this one, I want to show you. This is somebody, and you can see the police with the pistol out saying, stop or I'm gonna kill you. Je te bute. Right? Je te bute. I'm gonna kill you. Again, this is disproportionate. It's just somebody running away. Are they a terrorist? Are they a wanted murderer or a serial rapist or something? Why are they trying so hard to be like American police? Why are they doing this? I think it's because of the law, right? The one that I just showed you, Article L435-1. Arrête-toi, je te bute. Stop or I'll kill you. That's a threat, right? That's straight up threat. These are the two boys that were killed in 2005, right? So here's their picture. Zied and Buna, all right? These are the two boys. So what happened in 2005 is that the police, this was after a football match. So Zied on the left was 17 and Buna on the right was 15. The police were chasing them. Who knows why? Because they didn't do anything wrong, and later the police would be put on trial. The police chased them, and they were so scared that they hid in some electrical room, or I don't know, something. I don't know what it was for, but basically they got electrocuted. Right? It was dangerous to be in there. They got electrocuted and they died because the police were harassing them and chasing them. And then afterwards, the police were put on trial for that. But that was many, many years later. When these two boys died in 2005, there were literally weeks of riots. Weeks. The videos that I showed you from today, this is mild compared to 2005. It's starting to look like 2005, but it's not 2005. But it's on the way. It's getting to be like that. Now, I wanted to discuss the suburbs with you. Nahel, the boy that was killed on the 27th of June by the police, is Algerian. Okay? For those of you who don't remember, Algeria was not just a French colony. It was actually, in my Twitter thread, I said that it was a département. It was actually carved up into multiple provinces, but I didn't want to confuse people. Basically, let me show you on the map how they carved up Algeria. And you must understand that, this was considered part of France, not a colony or a mandate. No. This was annexed by the French. Annexed, completely annexed. Right? It's not that far off, is it? It's a stone's throw away from France, from Marseille, right? And so you have a really nasty taste in people's mouths that's been left by colonialism. Okay, and when the French were fighting against the Algerians who were trying to liberate their country, they killed 1.5 million Algerians. This is in the 50s and 60s, right after decolonization, quote unquote. So they 1.5 million, and they committed torture that's so bad. I don't think I can say it because then they'll probably censor it. But really, like extraordinary crap, extraordinary. So my point here is that you have an Algerian boy being shot dead by the French authorities. You know, people can't swallow that. People are not going to accept that because this it's not just state violence. It has connotations of colonialism. Do you understand? You have an African Algerian boy being shot by French police. This is like colonialism. It's like nothing has changed, really. And Nanterre, as I was saying before, is a suburb of Paris. The suburb of Paris is called la banlieue. La banlieue. And when you say la banlieue in French, it even means the ghetto, really. You know, it's like saying the ghetto, la banlieue. Because that's how bad the situation is in the French suburbs, okay? They built a bunch of housing projects in the 60s, right? Because they had a housing crisis back then. And Jesus, if you've ever been in the 9-3, right? You've ever been dans la banlieue. You will look at those buildings. If you've seen those buildings, you know that they were built in the 60s and they have never been cleaned, maintained, or renovated ever since. They look like the day they were built. So you have a class divide and a racial divide. And they make it extremely difficult to get from the banlieue into the center of Paris. You know, if you have a car, I mean, it makes it a bit easier. But if you're broke, you're unemployed, and the unemployment is very high. You need ages to get there. It's only now that they're starting to build this. What the hell is it called? Paris Grand Express or something like that. Paris Grand Express. It's a project to add new lines to the rail system and the subway. But this is now. It hasn't even been finished. So for the last decades, you're stuck in the ghetto. You don't have money, and the police go and do stuff like this to you. A lot of the people in the ghetto, in the banlieue, they're African, they're Arab. Not all of them, but a big minority, or should we say a significant minority. And these are Arabs and Africans that come from where? Countries that the French colonized, right? And I find it so bewildering that I showed you this video yesterday. It's from yesterday. You have the police rolling up somewhere in Paris, and there's a man with a thick African accent yelling at them. What is wrong with you guys? You shoot and kill a 17-year-old, and then you know what the police say? I played it to you. We turned the volume up. You can hear one of the police muttering, under his breath, like, "Go back to Africa. Go back to Africa." Excuse me, who? What is this? Is this not Africa? Who took this? Who went into Africa and took this? Oh, it's the French. So when the French go into Africa and grab it, that's fine. Oh, it's France. Now, it's you have multiple départements. But when people emigrate to France, oh, now it's go back to Africa. This is the colonial crap that people have to put up with. And that video is from yesterday. That boy was killed just yesterday, so to speak, right? June 27th. This is stuff that's still happening. These two boys that I showed you here, Arab and African, right? So Arab and black, both from Africa, killed in 2005 by police harassment. So, these are things that have never gone away. And people are upset, and they are sick of this crap. That's why people are protesting all over France. If this wasn't a legitimate cause, if there wasn't something to be angry at, why would people be out in the streets in every major city in France? Why would they do that? Are they cuckoo? Are they nuts? No, they're angry. They are angry and furious because the government is allowing this crap to happen. It's like nothing has changed, and this is on track to become 2005. Also, I'm hearing that in Bordeaux, a policeman shot protesters with real bullets, but unconfirmed. Give me a second. happening right now. It's a one-man army, one-man show here. Okay, so give me a second to put all this together for you. There's so much happening at the same time. It's really out of control in France. Somebody stormed a McDonald's and they're helping themselves to the ice cream machine. I mean, can you blame them? Someone should give them a medal. This is the, this is peak rioting. Any person would do this. Come on. Admit it that you've thought about this. Oh my God, look at that. Did you see that? Come on, man. You can't blame him. You cannot blame him. Look at this. Look at this explosion here. Oh my goodness. This is wild. This is absolutely wild. Take a look. Jesus. Here, this is in Paris. Again, it brings me no pleasure to see Paris or France burning. It's a beautiful country. But if you don't want this to happen, don't shoot boys in the head. Don't murder boys. I don't know. I mean, it's not my opinion. I'm just telling you, that when you have state violence, people are going to act like this. And after all, this is what European and Western leaders say to Arab governments and African governments. This is why they wag their finger in Gaddafi, at Gaddafi and in his face, and wag their finger at Assad and wag their finger at Iran and said, you are violent, you are repressive, you commit violence against your own citizens, you kill your own citizens, you torture your own citizens. Well, I'm, and then they would fund all the extremists or otherwise. I don't care. You're against Syrian government? Here's a wad of cash. You're ISIS, you're Al-Qaeda, and you're against the Syrian government? Here's another wad of cash, even a bigger one. Here are some weapons. Here, take the weapons we got from Gaddafi after we killed and couped him, and go use them in Syria, which is what the CIA did. And who bombed Libya? Who started that crap? NATO and France, right? The defensive alliance. Well, let them defend themselves then. I think this is the Lidl. Yeah, this is the Lidl where they drove the car into the entrance. What did Lidl ever do to you? He wasn't happy with the first one. He was like, yo, guys, are you recording? Okay, let's go, bro. Oh, man, this is funny. It's really funny. But remember, they're freedom fighters. I mean, honestly, at least there's a legitimate cause here. I'm not talking about the Lidl video. I mean, in general, people are not just rioting. They want you to think it's just riots. People are marching peacefully, protesting peacefully. And I showed you these videos because they draw attention and they're chaotic and they're interesting. It's true. But I also showed you the one where they're marching in Marseille. Did I not? Right? That was completely peaceful. The ones who are not being peaceful are the CRS and the police who shot dead the boy. The CRS, I told you, they have a reputation that goes back since before I was even born. They are that violent. They are notorious, right? They're notorious for their violence. Just outrageous stuff, One of the videos that I cannot even show you because of how violent it is, because if you think burning a building is violent, one of the videos is the CRS, the French riot police, kicking the shit out of somebody. If you want to talk about violence, once again, you can replace buildings and property. You cannot replace human beings, and undo that. for those who are so concerned with, some chunks of metal. I mean, once again, I agree. It's not good to do this. It's also not good to shoot boys in the head. So maybe let's tackle the problem at the source. What do you say? Here's another video. I'm not sure if that's a police car. It doesn't look like it, but it's on fire, which is a French tradition, as I mentioned earlier. Well, French cars are horrible, so that's a Citroën? Definitely burn it. I'm joking. French cars are horrible, though. Oh no, this is a Citroën. You see, I don't know anything about cars. The one before it was a Renault, right? Yeah, this is a Citroën and this is a Renault. Doesn't matter. They're still French and they're still horrible. This is a Nanterre. So again, the same banlieue suburb where the original killing of Nahel, the 17-year-old boy, happened. So you can see on the side it says BRI. BRI, you can see that on the vehicle here. That's Brigade de Recherche et d'Intervention. So it's basically an anti, crime. It's a police department that specializes in gang crime or gang-related crime, and they've deployed them in addition to the CRS and the riot police. There are some Russian diplomats who are making light of the situation, right? Because they're saying that they're saying, oh, is this Moscow? Is this Russia? Oh no, it's actually your backyard. It's in Paris. Well, I guess you should go clean up this violence, huh? I don't know why I'm starting to go off into or do we say Queen's English anymore? I suppose it's King's English now. Apparently it's a king. We have a king, like old peasant and serf times, right? So yes, boy, you better go tackle that spot of trouble you've got over there in Paris. Yes, your BRI and your CRS. Yes, nothing like a good truncheon in the face. Yes, tackle the problem right in the face. Head on. Is this real?
Wallah, le mur! Attention les frères! Eh, faites-les sortir! Wallah, le mur! Attention les frères!
He said les murs, the walls. Be careful. Be careful. But seriously, I want to tell you guys about the militarization of police forces, because when you look at these guys, I mean, somebody who would somebody doesn't know any better would think they're soldiers because they look like soldiers. Now, obviously, the CRS, they don't look too different from they did from how they used to look a few decades ago. But my point here is that in the United States, when it comes to the U.S. especially, you have, I mean, without question, this over, or just with no need for over, right? There's no need for any prefix. Just militarization of police departments, right? So they equip the police with outrageous things that they absolutely do not need. I mean, an armored personnel carrier, an APC. When do you need an APC? You need an APC in a war zone? Fine. You need an APC in a United Nations peacekeeping and observer mission? Fine, absolutely. Why do you need an APC in some random, county for some police department in the middle of bumfuck nowhere? You don't. You absolutely don't. This is a way to make money, and they give these police departments giant budgets, and then if they don't spend the money, they'll cut the budget, right? So they just buy the stuff for the sake of buying it. And of course, who makes this who decides that this is the way of doing things? The revolving door, it's not even a revolving door, it's just a door. You can walk in and out. Private sector, back into, you know, as a legislator or a secretary of defense, whatever you want, right? So this is on purpose because just imagine how many police departments you'd have in the United States. Thousands, right? Right? Can you imagine how many sheriff departments and police departments and you know, state troopers and every single form of law enforcement, forget the military and put SWAT also aside. I'm talking about everything from, you know, state troopers all the way down to some sheriff's department and some county. You know, like think how many dollars are being spent on militarizing these police departments, giving them equipment they do not need just for the sake of spending the money, right? I mean, it's outrageous. It's really outrageous. So, you know, in France, again, this is a different animal. It's a different beast. But just because of the way they look, I was reminded to tell you about this because I wanted to make a note on that. And yeah, the CRS are militarized in many aspects, right? Especially their behavior. You know, they act like they're fighting zombies or something every time. You know, they just whack their batons. It's kind of funny though because at the end of the day, all they do is just like bash the shit out of people the old school way, right? Like they go and get these helmets and everything. Why do you need that? You're just beating people up the old school way anyway. And no, you know, they act like somebody's throwing fireworks at them. It's the end of the world and oh my god, they're such victims. You know, meanwhile they have live ammunition. Meanwhile, the traffic police, the fucking traffic police, decide to kill a boy, and then they claim they are under threat. And this is exactly the root of the problem. How did this entire issue in France start? The police killed someone and then claimed that their lives had been endangered, and it was a goddamn lie. It was a lie. Here's another video, fresh out of the oven. This is in Nanterre.
Quand c'est comme ça, faut pas bouger.
Here's another video. I mean, I was trying so hard not to laugh because this is. Look at this. Please look at this. Somebody just stole a bus, man. I mean, actually, forgive me. There was a lapse for me because the person above says they are now stealing buses in France. Why the fuck am I listening to someone's caption in English? I literally speak French. We don't know that anyone stole the bus. What they're saying here in the Snapchat, they were saying that wesh, aujourd'hui, ils voulaient pas faire d'heures supplémentaires. They're saying basically that the bus driver didn't want to do any overtime. That's why he's rushing. They're just making a joke. I mean, this really could be just a regular bus driver trying to get the fuck out of harm's way and go home. Yeah. And no one is saying the bus was stolen. I don't know why the fuck this person is writing that. Go to sleep, man. It's past your bedtime. Here's another video. This is from Marseille. Here the cops are retreating. Well, retreating is a bit of an exaggeration. They're just going in the other direction, but yeah. Retreating is a practice the French authorities are very familiar with. Sorry, I have to go there. I had to go there. Yep. This is in Nanterre. So again, Nanterre is not what a mouthful. Nanterre is not Nantes. Okay? Nantes is somewhere else in France. Nanterre is the suburb, Paris suburb where the boy was killed. Okay?
C'est vraiment pas son problème. Hein. Là, ça caillasse. Là, il y a la police. Et lui, il mange son petit sandwich.
He's saying basically this guy does not give a damn. He's just sitting there eating his sandwich. Yeah, I mean, this is...
Vraiment pas son problème. Hein. Là, ça caillasse. Là, il y a la police. Et lui, il mange son petit sandwich. C'est vraiment...
There's a song by some French rappers. It's Nino and SCH, right? And there's people. I'm not going to play it because of the copyright issue, but people on Snapchat, where a lot of this footage comes from, have been putting this track on there, and they say il veut pas que ça brûle comme en 2005. Pourtant ils font les mêmes erreurs. So what they're saying in the lyrics in the song is that they don't want the things to burn like in 2005. Yet they keep making the same mistakes. Same behavior from the police. C'est vrai, right? It's true. It's true. I don't care what color you are, where you come from. What's the excuse for this behavior? What is this? What is this madness? This is madness. This is state violence. Calling it state violence is Let me tell you something. You have you'll have people who say like, well, just because the police killed a boy, shot him in the head for not having his driver license. Oh my God! Just because that happened, that doesn't make it okay to start burning things and setting cars on fire. Sure, but the thing is, you can replace a car. I don't care how, vintage, even if you want to go down that road and say, oh, well, there are some cars that can't really, I don't care. That's a material thing. You can replace a car and a building. Can you replace this child? Can you replace Nahel? No. You cannot replace this person because they're unique and they didn't even get a shot at life. Can you replace them? No, you cannot replace them. They are not material things. They are human beings. You cannot replace them. So this comparison is outrageous to me. If you're angry at cars being set on fire, then go blame the police for shooting a boy in the head. It's very simple. You want to tackle you don't want people to burn cars. Don't shoot people in the head. Don't kill boys. Here, the car, you see the car that they were in, this yellow, I'm not a car person. I don't know what the hell that is. I think it's a Mercedes. But my point here is that they were trying to smear Nahel after he was killed by saying, oh, well, he rammed the police, which is a lie, as you can see. And then they said the car was stolen and he has a criminal record. Completely made up garbage. The boy has a squeaky clean rap sheet. He's never been arrested for stealing a bar of Snickers. Nothing. Squeaky clean record. Squeaky clean. The car also was given by a friend or rented by a friend, something like that. So the car is not stolen either. All these like kind of avenues that they try to downplay this issue by smearing the victim, the person who's literally been shot in the goddamn head. Sorry, it doesn't work because it's made up. The other thing is that in Syria and Iran and all the Middle Eastern countries and Asian countries and African countries, when the government commits an act of state violence, when the authorities kill someone, in Europe, people and the West, people in the West say it's okay to go and start burning buildings, burning property, killing police, killing soldiers in Syria, in Iran, etc., because the state is violent. That's the excuse, right? The state is undemocratic, it is authoritarian, and it commits violence against its citizens. These are the charges, right? These are the reasons given for this behavior. It's okay to give weapons to Al-Qaeda because the Syrian state is violent, right? The Syrian state killed a boy in Daraa in 2011, right? The Syrian state tortures people. So therefore, it's fine to give weapons to Al-Qaeda. It's fine for Israel to bomb Syria. It's fine for America to steal the oil. It's fine for people inside Syria to be supplied with media structures, weapons, radios, everything they need to take down that state because it is violent against its citizens. Well, I have a surprise for you, right? The things that they were saying about Iran, for example, where is the evidence of this? You don't even have a video proof of this. You don't even have proof that anyone beat Mahsa Amini to death. It's not there. It does not exist. You know what does exist? This video. 2 videos of French police shooting a boy in the head. That's on tape. This is irrefutable. Does this mean now that all of the people that were calling for regime change in Iran are going to support the protesters, the rioters, the unrest that I just showed you? It's just, it's just your own standards after all. You were saying that this is fine, like this behavior is fine when it's happening in Syria, you know. And by the way, that's incomparable. They destroyed Syria and turned it upside down. You know, this is a fart. This is a goddamn fart compared to what they did to Syria. This does not even register on the meter, right? So where are all these French government officials and journalists and reporters and you know, think tanks? Where are they now? Are they not going to support the uprising against the French state for violence against its own citizens? No. Where are they? Where are these people? The ones that were cheering on what happened in Iran. In Iran, they were murdering police, man. They were straight up murdering police. Not one person in the armed in the gendarmerie in the police has been killed, and you should say thankfully so, right? Because no one is advocating for murder here. However, one boy has been killed, and what is being done to avenge him? What is being done to get justice for him and make sure this doesn't happen again? Because a lot of people think nothing changed since 2005, and as I was saying, much you know, further back than that. For me, this is it's like colonialism. You got French authorities killing an Algerian boy. What difference does it make whether it's in 2023 or in 1923, or where the hell it happened? After all, Algeria was France back then, so you know, does it matter where in France? No. This has many connotations, right? Class, race, historical, and of course the fact that the state allows these you know, police to behave like that. I mean, this is a recipe for disaster. You know, some will argue, well, you know, that this is the interior minister who was saying this, right? Darmadan. He was saying that since this law was passed in 2017, you've actually had less shootings and less people being killed. Then you have other people who say, well, actually, you have had more people being killed because more people are refusing to comply. How do you even measure that? What do you mean more people are refusing to comply? What does that even mean? How do you measure that? But I just want to say something here. Even if nobody was killed, let us say that Nahel is still, you know, was still be alive. How does that make it okay to give French police permission to shoot people because they didn't obey the first two commands? Once again, the law is ambiguous. What is a loud command? They say à haute voix. Ça veut dire quoi, haute voix? How many decibels is a high, you know, a loud command? Well, you can at least measure decibels, right? They could have at least put it in the goddamn... they could have at least put the decibels needed in the law, but no, you know, it doesn't matter. And again, you know, this is, I think, I could not get enough videos together for you. Do you know that? I'm struggling. Like, I would see one video, I put it aside for you. I'd see another video. Every second, something is happening in France right now. It is completely like out, you know, chaotic, and no one is to blame but the state, right? Just like they tried to assassinate Gaddafi, and they did, right? Because he was also apparently very violent against his own citizens and tortured them and killed them. Just like they did that to Gaddafi, now it's coming home. Just like they did to Syria, now they get a taste of their own medicine. And again, this is mild compared to what they did, what France did. What France did in Syria, what France did in Libya. This is a joke. As I said, it doesn't even register. To compare them is an insult, as a matter of fact, you know. But let them get a taste of their own medicine. After all, I'm only applying their own standards. I didn't come up with this. They did. They said it's okay to start killing cops and killing the army and blowing things up and doing whatever the hell you goddamn please because the state is violent against its own citizens. Let them get a taste of their own medicine. No? Or are you having a sudden change of heart? You know, the thing is, they were saying the other day that Wagner, there was going to be a civil war because Wagner have 25,000 troops that they're going to use against the Kremlin, right? This is 40,000 police. Now, obviously, these are apples and oranges because Wagner are seasoned, fighters, combatants. I mean, the CRS are certainly seasoned. I forgot to mention them. I'll go into that in a second. But, you know, according to the metric that was used by CNN and by the BBC. Is this now the downfall of Macron because he's scrambling 40,000 troops? Is he also dealing with an insurrection? Is this going to be a mutiny? Okay, mutiny is a separate thing. That's when you have an uprising within a military or police ranks. But you understand my point here. You have a far greater number of authorities being scrambled to deal with the situation, and no one is talking about this as if, oh my God, l'Elysée is about to fall, and all these things. Do you see how dramatic they get when it comes to Moscow? I mean, the videos I just showed you, there's nothing even comparable to this if we talk about the other day with Prigozhin and Putin. But again, these are apples and oranges, because we're really talking about an internal thing. And then when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, this is a whole different ballpark. I know. I just wanted to kind of make an analogy here of how they try to make things seem larger than they are when it comes to the Russians. And this phrase, do you remember this phrase? Assad must go, right? They said Assad must go because of the state being violent against its own citizens. Okay, well, I guess Emmanuel Macron must go, right? Back then, I think Sarkozy in 2005, he was not yet, he was the interior minister. Do you know what Sarkozy said? He said that he will kick foreigners out of the country because of the riots, because the law permits him to do so. Well, that sounds very nice and all, but the thing is, he himself is a son of immigrants. So this kind of rhetoric, it's insane, right? Like the state kills two boys, and then he acts like the citizens are criminals. Look within your own ranks; you'll find enough of them. I guarantee you. If you think there aren't any criminals among the police. The CRS, which I wanted to mention before, the CRS are the riot police in France. They have a reputation that goes back decades since before I was even born, and they are so violent. The French riot police, they are so extraordinarily violent that honestly, I shouldn't have been even surprised at the video that I was telling you about earlier, where they're kicking the shit out of somebody. The CRS are so violent that even other European police forces are shocked by how violent they are. Okay, this is riot police we're talking about. But they go back. This goes back to the 60s. They would beat the crap out of people just for the sake of beating the crap out of people, and this has not changed. This has not changed, and I saw video evidence of that once again. This is, I understand it's one thing having, security forces. This is another. This is just, it's like they derive pleasure out of kicking somebody's teeth in. I don't know what this is. And going back to the killing of this poor boy, what is this? I mean, how do you behave like that? What the hell what's so threatening about this guy? Nothing. They killed him because they know they could. They knew they could get away with it. So everybody, get your tweets ready and start writing, Emmanuel Macron has to go. Right? Maybe you can go and fight in France or something, and they'll give it, they'll cheer you on the BBC or something. I doubt it. But if you go do it in Syria, oh yes, you're a freedom fighter now, not a terrorist or a delinquent. Delinquent is also a term in French, and that's being used for the rioters, right? Oh, they're destroying public property, they're delinquents, and so on. Once again, I tell you, you cannot replace a human being. You can replace a building. When people were blowing things up in Syria, and when they were killing police in Iran, they were cheering this on. On Twitter, they were cheering this on. They were cheering this on when you turned on the television, when you turned on the radio. Why are you so offended by this now? Why don't you like a taste of your own medicine? You don't like it? You don't like your own medicine? Oh, well, maybe don't force feed others then. There are a lot of similarities between what's happening right now in France, between this killing of Nahel and in the United States, right? You have... do I really need to go through the list? I've covered these, and I mentioned a couple of names yesterday when George Floyd was killed, or Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back, paralyzed for life. This is extraordinary violence. It's such. To call it excessive use of force is an understatement. If you need this much if you have to exert this much energy to keep someone under control or to detain them, you shouldn't be in law enforcement. You should go work a different job. You're not mentally qualified to do this job. It is a stressful job, yeah. And I have no doubt that people, policemen and policewomen, put their lives at risk every day in every country. I have no doubt, especially if you're one targeted by NATO, then you are really putting your life at risk, yeah. But I'm being serious here. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm sure many of them, they put their lives at risk, and it's a very stressful job. I have no doubt. But that I agree with you, actually, that this is precisely why you shouldn't do this job if you need to exert so much energy and use this much force to detain someone or make them comply or whatever it is you're trying to do. Shooting a 17-year-old in the head, you shouldn't be a policeman. Putting your knee on somebody's neck and it's, choking them to death, you shouldn't be a policeman. You shouldn't be using Israeli tactics. Come on, have some self-respect. Don't be like the Israelis, right? Because the Israelis, as you remember, they were training a lot of, and still do, they train a lot of U.S. Police departments. And guess what? They use this on Palestinians too, where they put their knees on people's necks. You could paralyze someone if not kill them or worse. This is so excessive. It's so violent. I don't know how anyone could, you might do this if you're dealing with a terrorist or with some insane scenario from a movie, but you're not in Hollywood. This is real life, and human beings are fragile, man. Period.